It's called banter.
Banter?
Actually.
Banter? Okay. Banter question of the day. How did you meet your best friend?
Okay, well, I won't tell us. I mean, Megan's my best friend, my wife, but I'll go with my other best friends.
Your dude friends.
My dude friends. Hey, I might have a girlfriend that's my best friend. You don't know. I met this girl. She cold emailed me. That's the story of how we met. Yeah, Ben and Ryan. So Ben, we met in MCAT prep class.
MCAT just sounds so hardcore.
Does it?
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I'm taking the MCAT.
The MCAT. I mean, I think it is pretty hardcore. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's the most hardcore of the professional school tests.
Like, it sounds much more hardcore than like the LSAT.
The LSAT, yeah. Although Suits did make the LSAT seem like a real
after
big
Suits,
deal.
maybe it seems a little more. It's got more cred.
Yeah, so I took the MCAT in 2005. I might be off on this, but let me see. It's scored out of I think a 13. No. There were 3 sections back then. There's like, God, I'm gonna blow it. I don't even want to like revisit it, but
All these people who are struggling with this test right now are just dying to be like, no, that's not how it works.
right? Yeah. The MCAT.
528.
Look it up real quick, Nate.
0 to 528.
That's the MCAT scoring system?
So, yeah, MCAT scores.
Oh, I think they've changed it because
Okay.
it used to be like there were 3 sections. There's like a reading comprehension section. There's like the biology section, and then there's like physics and chemistry section, basically. And I think they were all scored out of 15. So like a perfect score maybe was like a 45 or something like that. And like anything above a 10 on a section was good. If you got anything less than a 10 on a section, then like, you know, it was like, oh, at Berkeley at least, people were like, "Phew, you're not going to med school." Like you basically just blew it. So like a 30 was like people were shooting for a 30 and above, and then like anything close to 15 was like great. And I was very strong in the biology and the chemistry, physics, and like terrified of the reading, writing comprehension. Like my first practice, like I full sat through like an 8-hour practice session.
Yeah.
I scored a 4 on my reading comprehension, and I just had a full panic attack. I was like, fuck. Like, so I worked super hard on that. I ended up getting a 10 in reading comprehension, and I think I got 13s or 14s on the other 2 sections. So like I had a pretty competitive score, but anyway, yes, I got into med school. Not the med school I wanted to get into, but I got into a couple, which was great.
Okay.
Met Ben in med school prep class, and Ben, when I met Ben, he was just like, we bonded really, really easily, but he was like, what the fuck are you eating, man? Like I was like all on the nutrition kick back then. I bring like this mixture of protein powder, yogurt, and cottage cheese with some flaxseed
delicious.
in it. And it just was like chocolate protein in this, and it looked just like, I mean, this looked like a hot mess. And he was like, what the hell is that? As he's like, cause he was like, I guess they call him a houseboy, where he like was the one guy or one of 2 guys that lived in the sorority house. And he like did the cooking and things like that. So he was like always like just bringing food from like the sorority house, and he'd have like, you know, leftover stuff from the breakfast or the dinner. And I just remember like he was over there like munching on like hot dogs with no buns, just like wieners, and I'm like spooning in this like glop, and we were just like, man, we are so different in this whole department. But now he's on the FBB lifestyle now.
That's right.
Buddies. And then Ryan was a good friend of Ben's, and Ryan and I were both in Ben's wedding.
Yeah.
Which was over I think 10 plus years ago. So
Aw.
now, yeah, we've just all bonded since then. Wow, what a story. Then sorry to take us on a detour there, but how did you meet your best friend?
I met my best friend in the year 2000. I went on a trip to India for this big event that was happening in my spiritual community, and a bunch of people came from all over for it. And so we took a few weeks to ride around India and tour around together. And my brother and I were both on that trip. She bonded with my brother, and it was pretty clear that they were going to start dating. And I was like, this is just the most annoying woman I've ever met. Like, this, she's terrible for my brother. She was kind of like jerking his heart around a little bit, like, you know, just not good at the whole communication thing at the time. I was like, what is with this woman? But she took some interest in me, and she was like, we're going to be best friends. I was like, yeah, no. And she dated my brother and, you know, would come and visit because she lived in a different state at the time, but she'd come and visit. But gradually, like, we'd spend more time around each other because of her dating him. It was not going in a direction where I was like, oh, yeah, I'm warming up to her. It was like quite the opposite. But then eventually, like, I don't know what happened. They eventually broke up, even though they're still friends now. And just over the course of that, somehow she got me. She got me good. And now, like, she is like my ride or die, like, just total best friend for life.
That's so wild.
Yeah.
She knew it before you
She knew it. She called her shot. And
that's cool.
yeah, it took a hot minute there, but I'm glad she pursued it.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, what do we're going to jump into sort of some updates on, what my last 6 months have looked like. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah. We want the update on your bulking journey.
Yeah. We covered a little bit of this at one point, but I think it's maybe good to catch up to, like, what's this process been like and why did it even start?
Yeah.
So I'm actually going to take it all the way back 5 years. 5 years from ago, it was 2019, and I don't know what I was looking up, but I think I found some old media, some old maybe story posts or something like that, because I was actually out searching for a particular post that we had put out. I put out about, like, a lift that I had done that was really heavy because we were going to, like, film a piece of content. In that process, I went and saw some story posts, and there was, like, sometime in 2019, I had taken a picture of the scale when I stepped on it, and I was like 196 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah. 196 pounds. And at the time, I was doing full-time functional bodybuilding. I had officially been like, I'm not doing CrossFit Masters. Like, I was not doing CrossFit, but I was, like, training in the way that we've been training and doing Olympic lifting, doing a lot of bodybuilding stuff, doing conditioning workouts, doing all the different stuff. And I was in really good shape. I wasn't in, like, CrossFit Games shape. I was in really good shape. I was really strong. I could still, at that time, I was still, like, I had some videos of, like, in 18 and 19, like, still putting up big numbers. And I do recall that at that moment, like, I was not feeling good about my body, and I was having, like, all those GI issues.
Right.
I started working with, like, a nutrition person and to, like, heal gut stuff. And I, like, basically started tracking my food then. And, like, in the process of, like, tracking my food, I think I just stopped having, like, overeating binges that I would have, like, inadvertently. And I was like being a bit more measurable about my calories. And as a result, I started to slowly lose weight.
Yeah.
You know, and come 2020, the beginning of 2020, I was probably in, like, the low 190s. And then the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And I was really into, like, tracking food, and I kind of got into, like, this intermittent fasting phase that I was going through, because I approached intermittent fasting not from, like, I'm going to lose weight or body fat. I was doing it because I had heard that it was a great way to boost testosterone, and I had historically low testosterone from tests that I'd taken. So I started religiously doing this, like, intermittent fasting thing. Also, I was trying to use it as a tool to heal my gut, because the coach that I was working with was like, you snack too much, you eat too many times of the day, like, you need to have defined windows of eating so that your gut can rest. And I was like, okay, well, here's a great way to set a schedule. If I just eat breakfast at 10 and eat my last meal at this time, like I'm in the window and
Yeah.
I'll just, right. So I started doing the intermittent fasting thing, and then the pandemic hit and I started training in the backyard, and I also was moving a lot more, walking with my kids, being outside. Backyard training was super fun and inspiring, but I wasn't really that inspired to like 400-pound back squat.
Yeah.
It didn't have that vibe of like the gym where I'm like trying to like lift weights, I'm
Yeah.
trying to like get my 275 snatch, like, slamming barbells with everybody here, and Anthony try to push himself. Like, I just kind of got out of that, like, push myself, and I started to inadvertently lose weight. I started getting really lean. The intermittent fasting, tracking my macros and calories, carbs cycling, whatever it was. Like, I was in a deficit. I didn't really think I was in a deficit, but I was. And I just started getting lean, and I really got into it. I was like, we did a photo shoot here for like our new website. And I remember like showing up that day and like seeing some of the pictures. I was like, fuck, like I have never been this muscular and this lean ever. And I just like kind of got rehooked onto that because I was still feeling strong and muscular from the last year.
Yeah.
I wasn't doing anything like hard to get lean. I was just like, I just changed a few things. At the time, it felt easy. I was tan. Like, the pandemic was a nightmare in a lot of ways, but like it was also great because I was just getting to spend more time with my kids, out walking every day in the neighborhood, like being in the backyard, getting sun. And so that really set the stage for me to sort of like get attached to a new focus of like, oh, I'm like, I'm changing my body in this way, and I'm not really like enticed to like get high levels of performance. Well, I kind of, that was like a 7-month period, and then it never really stopped. I kind of got stuck in a cycle of like, I'm just going to be, I'm now the lean guy. I'm not a high performer. I'm not like a CrossFit Games guy anymore. I'm like just the ripped guy in the backyard doing his training. And, I like established some of these like new expectations of myself. And for pretty much, the bulk of the next 2.5 years after that, maybe 3, I was sort of like becoming more focused on this smaller, leaner physique. And it happened slowly, but I started losing muscle mass. And I think late 2023, after having like these little bumps where I'd like kind of put on a little bit more weight and lose some of that like leanness and sharpness, and then I'd like obsess over it and I'd try and adjust for it. By 2023, it was I had done like a summer where I was like, we were on the East Coast and I was like feeling good, looking good, like confident. But by October, my average body weight, week to week was 177 pounds for like a whole month. And now knowing like, okay, well, like just a few years before this, I was 195 pounds. And objectively, people would like, dude, you're shredded. Like, I was lean back then.
Yeah.
So like, whoa, I had a little bit more body fat, but I had a lot more muscle. And I could do physically things that I just had no chance of doing anymore. And I was just like, ugh, I'm so frustrated by this. I'm so like kind of disappointed in myself that like I just sort of fell down this path and then just sort of like kind of took it way too far, and just it became a new norm for me. And I was like, I'm not liking this anymore. And I have a lot of mental obstacles of like trying to rebound and go the other way. Like every time that like my body weight would go from like 180 back up to 185, I'd kind of freak out and be like, oh my God, I don't want to be, I'm gaining weight and I'm getting bad weight. Like I had reestablished what my expectation of myself and my body was. And so, yeah, I just kind of was like, it was the second time in a 3-year period where I had hit kind of what felt like a bottom, like where I'm like, I don't feel good. I don't even like what I see anymore. I just feel kind of like I've turned into sort of like an average small guy. Like, I don't know, like there was a lot of body dysmorphia perhaps, but just like I'd seen how I'd changed. And so I was like, okay, well, this is going to be the hardest thing that I do for a while, or I've done in a while, which is to like intentionally eat more food and try and put on weight. Because it was happening without me even like doing it intentionally. Like I was in like a very depleted state, and like I was, binging and like having like, I was just like, couldn't control my appetite. I was like, man, I'm just hungry. I was like, okay, these are all signs that your body is actually telling you need more, and it needs more nourishment. And so, we can be it's hardest to coach myself.
Of course.
Yeah. So then I kind of leaned into it, and I was like, okay, I'm going to just like try and do this thing. And, I was maybe eating 3,200 calories a day and feeling that way. I was like, okay, I'll bump it up to 3,500. And that was like, felt good for a little bit, but then I was right back in the same spot. And then I bumped it up to 3,800, did that for a little bit. And then I bumped it up to 4,000. I'm like, okay, I'm doing this thing, and my weight started to slowly climb up. It was like, okay, my average weight was 178. Okay, now it was 179. Okay, now it's always in the 180s. Okay, now it's 181, 182. Okay, now it's 183. Okay, now it's 184. And it was just going slowly. Like, and I was like, and each step was hard. It was like, oh man, I'm seeing that number. Like I would have a night where we like ate out, and like, I let myself just sort of relax on food, like not even hit my like 4,000, maybe go up to 5,000 for a night, and I wouldn't want to step on the scale the next day to see a number. Like if I saw that 184 number, I was like, that's going to make me freak out and like stop doing this bulking thing. So I'm just going to skip my weigh-in today. And I know people feel that like when they're trying to go the other direction, but like I was like, I don't want to see a bigger number even though I'm bulking, because I'm afraid that like this thought pattern of like, I'm not supposed to be gaining weight. Like I don't want to be heavier. I had kind of gotten fixated on like, I'm either 180 or 179, and like that's my sweet spot. A lighter is better, So, and thankfully, like I was open about it. I like shared it with Megan, you, Nate, talking about it more, and like, because I'm like, this is going to take time. It's going to take a long time for me to like unwind some of this and get out of this like mental sort of preoccupation with what I feel like I should look like, or the weight I should see on the scale, and start to focus on some new things like getting stronger, maybe actually putting on muscle, like putting on weight. Like if I want to put on muscle and if I want to like gain weight, like guess what? The scale's going to go up. It has to go up. Like I can't see a low number. And then I was like, okay, I want to do this thoughtfully. I don't want it to just like balloon up and gain bad body fat weight. Like I want to gain muscle and do it slowly. And so, I've been really methodical about it. And just last month, I had hit like kind of a 185 number as an average for a week. And I think I said to like Nate one day, I was like, dude, I saw like a number, and I was like pumped about it. I was like proud of it. I was like, I was like looking, each day I was like looking in the mirror and being like, okay, what do I like about what I see before I ever step on this scale number? Like, I'm like, I like the way my shoulders look, that my shoulders are filling out. Like I'm filling out a t-shirt better. Like I'm doing things, like there's things that are happening that I'm liking. Anchor those thoughts in before I get on a scale, and before I like let that be just try and use it as a data point to like make sure you're going in the right direction. And I'd say this past 3 to 4 weeks has been the first time where I've hit a plateau, and I actually like had a regression. So I was like eating, 4,000 calories a day, and it was like my weight dropped 1 week, and I was like, oh shoot, like guess that means I got to eat more. Like, it's like, I guess it's like, if I'm coaching someone, I'm like, dude, you got to eat more. Like it's, you're doing like, so I bumped my calories up to 4,200 calories. But then like old patterns kick in. It's like, okay, I'm eating more, I'm going to move more, and I walk more, or I get more steps in, or, it's the daylight's longer. Like, I always move more during this time of year. So I'm like, okay, well, that's inadvertently, I'm having more non-exercise activity thermogenesis, more neat calories are being spent. Maybe that's why I drop weight for that week. Okay, I gotta eat more in this time of year. This springtime warm weather is always when my body and my mind is like, time to get lean and get shredded.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nope, like this is not my time to do that. I have months, if not a year or more, to like stay in this mindset. And I don't want to go backwards to like, I want to be like super lean and like cut and be on this like lower calorie version of myself, because it has these downstream negative impacts on my life where I'm just maybe a little too, I get lower energy, and I get too fixated on like an aesthetic that objectively to everybody else is not any better or different. In many instances, people are like, you look better like this, man. Like you look better when you were 10 pounds heavier. And my wife, Megan, like really likes my body bigger. And it's like never been so clear to me. I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, you like, why am I not paying attention? Like I've been stuck in a different mindset of what I think my body should look like. So, so the update is today, 4,200 calories. My last week, I think my average weight was 185.4. And so far this week, it's down in the 184s again, upper 184. So kind of having the second, like I was going up, had a dip for a week, went up a little bit, having another dip. So it's just telling me that there's something that needs to shift and I need to keep, pushing that. Mm-hmm. But I do feel like I'm getting stronger in the gym. I can see visible muscle changes that are happening. And I think my psychology around it is changing for the better, for sure.
Yeah. What do you advise for people who struggle with that psychological aspect? I mean, do any moments stand out for you that felt like a turning point from negative to positive as you were gaining more weight?
Yeah, I think the same things that I coach people on when they're doing body recomposition or composition changes or just body changes. Mm-hmm. I've tried to really stick to it and really look at the data.
Yeah.
Be like, okay, well, what is happening to my body weight over time? Am I I'm getting those daily check-ins. I'm seeing averages. And once you compile enough information, you can really see like, oh, like this hasn't changed so dramatically. Like I'm eating more, but like things don't happen like overnight. Like nothing goes crazy fast up or crazy fast down. I've continued to like be good about tracking my food. Like I'm not just like, well, I'm trying to bulk, so I'm just going to eat whatever.
Eat anything, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like as methodical about it as I was when I was doing the alternative.
Yeah.
I think the other part that has helped me is really like embracing those moments where I see or feel something really good. Mm-hmm. I think I know, and I've had enough time where I'm like, I can see how easy it would be for me to go back the other direction.
Yeah.
So, all right, like this is the hard thing to do. This is the challenge. And I really see the value of the other side of it.
Yeah.
And I also just like, I kind of want to, I wanted a challenge for myself that was going to like push me outside of my comfort zone, which I haven't had in the training physical world in quite some time. And so all of those things have been like, I want a challenge, embrace those moments, really feel great about those moments that are feeling good. And then have an accountability system or like people around you where you can like be honest about the stuff that sucks. Like, hey man, this sucked today. Like I did not feel good. I felt puffy, and it's like, whatever. Like I feel safe talking about that with the people in our close circle.
Sure.
I'm not going to go out on like social media and be like, guys, like I woke up today and I was like puffy. And they're like, dude, you have abs. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? But like, I think we all kind of support each other in that way because we all have days that are tough, you know? For you, it's the day you can't get your muscle up. For Nate, it's the day where his weight, went back up. For Megs, it's a day where she's like, nothing's changing on this. Like, what's going, like, I just don't feel good in this thing. It's like we all can share that with each other. So having that and somebody to talk through with it, or having a coach, or like that accountability person is huge.
Yeah.
And I almost like, I've even gotten close to this point where I'm like, I think I need a coach to guide this part of, my journey for me. Because I don't have I don't have anybody that's looking at my data.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
And it's very hard, I'm doing it and I'm clearly capable. I mean, like I can show week on week averages from October of 2023, where I was 177 pounds, to today where I'm 185 pounds, and I can step on the body scanner and show that like a majority of that is muscle. So it's working. I've done the objective work to make it happen, but it's like now I'm starting to feel like, okay, I'm getting into this like territory where I think the next portion of this is going to stretch me even more. Like to get to 190 pounds again, it's going to take more time, and it's going to take doing things that maybe are uncomfortable. Like don't walk 18,000 steps a day, dude.
Yeah.
Like, just chill the fuck out. Or, okay, you're going to walk that much. Like you might need to eat a lot more, you know? Which I have no problem like stomaching more food. Like I'm not lean or like a hard gainer where it's like, I just can't eat food. It's like every day I could eat 1,000 more calories and feel, excited about it. But I don't, because I'm not here to gain 5 pounds of body fat. Like I wanted to do this in a more methodical way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that is a really amazing takeaway for some people out there is like, if you are doing something this challenging for your psychology and your emotional state, it's hard enough to do the physical part, right? Like it takes effort to get in the gym, to push your body through training, to prepare your food and measure it and be accountable to all that. That's a lot of effort. But I think that it would be really wise to take an intentional step to build up your support system around you for the inevitable changes that are going to be happening and that you're going to go through. And it's like, it doesn't even necessarily have to be someone who's from the fitness world. It can just be someone who is in your corner that you say, I'm going to do this thing. Here's what's about to come up for me. These things are likely to happen. Like, can you support me in this?
No doubt, for sure. Yeah, I'm just like, I'm getting kind of like goosebumps thinking about it, because I'm like, as you know, like I've been working with a handful of one-to-one clients that have been going through body transformations, and just knowing like the power of that system to really impact change for people. Yeah. And to be like, to create this brutally honest, like, this is what's going on, and have different eyes on the same person's outcome. It's just so powerful. I want that to be available to everybody who is serious. What Nate's been going through. If you're serious and ready to commit to it, like, this is how you do it for sure. Yeah. Don't wade through it all by yourself, because I'm doing a lot of this by myself, but I'm not. I'm doing it with a really important support system. Like, I have the knowledge, and I have what feels like accountability, and like a team around me that like I have to be so honest with. And I'm with all of you each day. I'm talking about it with my wife, and like, that is the environment that allows people to make real change for the long term. Yeah. That's real. Like I'm like, I cannot. And this Nate said, for those of you couldn't hear, but Nate said, you got to get bigger so you can keep up with me, which is true. Nate is outlifting me in a handful of exercises, which, is motivating for sure.
Yeah.
And we have started to Olympic lift once a week, every Friday. And I have not been able to reclaim my 300-pound clean. And I'm pissed about it. I'm fucking upset. It's been about 2 months of just working it back in.
What'd you get today?
I got 285.
Yeah.
Last week I failed 290. I jumped too much. I went 280 to 290, missed it twice. This week I got 285. But yeah, I'm just like, it's a far cry from 365, my all-time best. But I'm just like, look, I'm going to be 40 this year. I'm going to clean 315 as a 40-year-old. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
So I've got another 30 pounds to go, which feels crazy hard. But another 5 pounds on my frame could really make that a lot easier.
Yeah. Well, I'm right there with you in the clean journey.
Yeah. You got to get you on the bulk.
Gotta get on that bulk.
Come on now. Jeez. Yeah, you are a hard gainer for sure.
No, it's hard for me. Yeah.
Yeah, we got to get you. On that Swedish fish
diet.
Swedish fish diet.
Be rejuvenated.
That's real. Cool. Well, thanks for everyone. If you're listening still, thanks for indulging my bulk update, and hopefully there was something of value in there for you to hear. Open to fielding more questions on it. If you have them, you can shoot them over in DMs. Anything to leave anyone with?
Yeah, just if you're going through a body transformation journey and you are struggling, then send us a message. We look at all those.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Yeah. See ya.